Awesome. So yeah, we're doing these 2 free workouts a month. We're offering them for 2 reasons. One, to help people have an experience of what the coaching gym is. It's different than really anything out there. And so it's just kind of having a chance to kind of try it out, taste it. And then also we're doing it for coaches who can't afford membership right now. 2 free workouts. There's no limit to how many you can come and attend. And, this was something that, we really saw missing in the development of our coaching craft. There's, once you do your initial coaching training, for me, this was my experience. I got a lot of supervision coaching within my initial coaching training, but I was so new to coaching at the time. Not a lot of the things were sticking. It wasn't that value. As an amazing coach as she was, I just didn't have enough context to really utilize the feedback. And I really floundered and struggled in my career just being a solo coach, because all the feedback I would get was from my clients that was like, thanks, that was great. Oh, that was so great. You're so amazing. Or, they ghost me. It's like, so I don't really know specifics. When I did the apprenticeship with Michael Neal in 2021, I can't remember. One of the most valuable parts of that was the supervision coaching that he offered me, because I had had enough experience at that time to have it be really valuable and really impactful. And I craved more of it. There's a concept of deliberate practice that I first heard about. It's been around. Cal Newport wasn't the one that coined it, but he talks about it in his book, Be So Good They Can't Ignore You. And in that book, he gives this example that he and a musician, Jordan Vance, pick up a guitar to start playing it about the same time and put in about the same amount of hours practicing, roughly 10,000 hours or more. The difference is that Jordan Vance always has a teacher or coach he's working with to challenge him, give him feedback. He implements the feedback and gets feedback on that. And so he's always being challenged to do things just slightly out of his comfort zone, practice that, get feedback. So he's growing in a very specific way. Whereas the author he just played on his own. And so when he would challenge himself to play a harder song, he'd get frustrated and go back to playing the songs that he knew well. So what he says is like, 10,000 hours to mastery. It's not just that, it's how you spend those hours. And so this concept of being able to practice our craft, get qualified feedback that's valuable, that's implementable, and then practice that and get feedback on that is just something that, I mean, for coaches, I just don't, there was nothing out there. There's a few things that I've experienced, but I mean, how I was as a coach back then, they just left me more insecure and made me more like doubtful of how I was coaching. So, we wanted to create something. First and foremost, we believe that confident coaches do better. They trust their intuition. They're going to connect to that person better. They're just being confident will make you more impactful and trusting, being okay making mistakes and owning those mistakes when we're intuitive and confident. So our primary purpose in the coaching gym is to foster confidence in coaches. We're not going to tell you how to coach. We're not even going to tell you what coaching is or isn't. Our context in the gym is that coaching is an ability and a skill to be able to serve another person powerfully. Okay, we study 3 different things, measurable indicators within what does it mean to serve somebody powerful. We look at impact, experience, and results, right? We seek to help each coach understand their own unique style. We think each coach has their own way of doing it, and it's really fun in the gym. We've really been seeing such a variety of styles and making impact in all really cool ways. We believe you're going to make the best impact by being yourself. So that's one of the things that we really seek to do in our feedback sessions, is to help you see the brilliant water you're swimming in. What is your superpowers and your unique style that helps you bring the most amount of impact, experience, and results. And as we observe other coaches coaching in styles different than ours, and just being able to sit in the seat of the observer, it expands our capacity to just notice, to observe, and reflect in ways that can be impactful. So Cece's in the gym. She's a member, so she knows a lot about the gym. But Jennifer, do you have any questions about the gym before we jump into playing? Oh, so you
Oh,
might be muted.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was just really, is it muted now? No, it's good. Okay. Specifically, like what, it sounds like it's a monthly membership, but I don't really know more than that and what's available.
Yeah. So I modeled this. I don't know. Where do you live, Jennifer?
I'm in Toronto.
Toronto. Okay. So you might not have Orange Theory fitness gyms in your area, but I
We do.
modeled. Oh, you do? Have you heard of Orange Theory?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with how it works?
Nope. I drive by it.
Okay. Me too. Me too. Well, I signed up for Orange Theory about a year ago. It was like $150 a month. And I can go on the app and see, I can pick out a workout that works. They're all hour workouts. I can pick one that works with my schedule that day or the coach I like or the class I like. And there's several to pick from. And I just thought to myself, there ought to be something like this for coaches,
Mhm.
a low membership fee where they can practice, developing more mastery within their craft of coaching on a more frequent basis rather than, you know, uh, like doing a program here and there for a weekend or something. I wanted there to be something that you could practice daily or once a week. You go at your own schedule. You can pick your schedule. So we're modeling it after that. Like that's the bigger vision for the gym. Um, right now it's Katie and I are the two that are offering the workouts. We have 4 workouts a week, Monday through Friday, once a day. As membership builds, we'll add more workouts and more coaches. So the bigger vision is there'll be many different coaches offering different workouts. The deliberate practice, which is what we're going to play with today, deliberate practice with feedback, is kind of it's meat and potatoes. It's really because we believe that's where you're going to get better, not talking about it, but actually practicing it and getting feedback. So we offer 2 of those different sessions a week. One is a coach coaching another coach, which is there's things to see about that. And then on Thursdays, we always have a non-coach to be coached. So there's a different thing to see there. Um, Mondays are our explorations. So we explored this week, we explored how to help somebody get clear about what they want. It's a really great exploration.
Mhm.
And then Wednesday mornings, we have games. This week, we played with games on how to talk about what you do in just kind of different playful ways. We have a couple, we're not ready to announce them yet, but we have a couple of more coaches that are going to be offering some things. And in the next week or two, maybe we'll make those announcements later. As the membership grows, we'll also be offering master coach sessions where we'll have master coaches come in and do demonstrations and Q&A and stuff like that. So we're just waiting for a little bit more membership to build. So.
That's great. Thank you. And then I think that you had addressed this at an earlier point, but this is not a 3P coaching only. This is broader coaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, that was something I wanted to do too, because I've been in a lot of different coaching communities. I really love, when I did the apprenticeship with Michael Neal, he introduced me to the whole 3P community and I love it. We did do kind of like an early launch and mostly invited people with a 3P background because we wanted that to have a lot of influence in the culture.
Mhm.
And so, but I also believe that, bringing non-3P coaches in and 3P, like that was my vision. Like I know I have a lot to learn from coaches from other traditions
Mhm.
and vice versa. So it's really getting to collect ourselves as a coaching community. The umbrella that the culture is sort of self-selecting within is that we do not want to define what coaching is or isn't, how it's supposed to be done, and how it's not. There's
Mhm.
a lot of some coaches coming out of their early coaching training will, like, well, you can't give advice in coaching, you can't talk about yourself, or, there's all these ideas. This is a place to throw all of those out the window and just really get curious about impact, experience, and results in the overarching endless inquiry of what does it mean to serve another person powerfully. So that's the kind of common ground that would help coaches from any background self-select if this is a culture they want to play with or not.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, some
Cool.
things that I might just throw in there quickly and add. So we've created a membership platform. So we have the coachinggym.us and we sort of have a hub there. So we keep our recordings of our explorations and our games because we also know that not everyone's going to perfectly align with the schedule. We actually have members in Africa, we have members in Europe, and all over Canada and the US. So timing, sometimes we're also really working to build in more sessions that are like great for our members at times that work for them. The deliberate practices are really good to do in person, as are all of the sessions. But if you can't make one, we try and keep those recordings in the gym and just build up a bit of a resource file there for members. What we have done in the past too is we've done intensives. So we did an effortless enrollment intensive in January, which was outside of the gym, but we want to bring those things in for a low cost for our members. So whatever the cost would be to the public, it would be deeply discounted for the members. And those are sort of like, sometimes they're 2-3 day intensives where we really take a topic that's relevant for coaches and leaders and we break it down and we workshop it. So the gym is all about workshopping, less about sort of top down, like here's some best practices, and more about letting you, because we're coming from the understanding that you already have this coaching wisdom within you, and it just needs maybe a larger space to play in, more room to experiment, more room and more feedback to be able to develop it towards mastery. So we really want to create that space. The one thing that the coaching gym isn't is it isn't a coach training formally. You will probably get better at coaching, but it's not because you're getting trained up. It's because you've got a space to play within and you're getting qualified feedback within that space.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, shall we play?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Jennifer, Cece, would either of you like to coach and get feedback today? Like to be the coach?
I'm open. I'll do whatever
Me
works
too.
for everybody.
too.
I'm just going to grab a glass of water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have a
Let's see.
preference?
What you both just went through, if you take and cut that and snip it and put it on the website and use it because it was so eloquent about what this is about and the history and everything else like Demi, and then what you added in, Katie, that body alone is like, oh,
Yeah, we know we need to bottle that and share it with
yeah,
people.
the way you did it just now, please do grab it.
Well, you know,
Mhm.
Cece, let me say this while we're waiting for Jennifer to come back, because you want to know how that happened was, doing all the beta rooms that we did for like a month.
Mhm.
And I mean, we did not pre-plan what we were going to say.
No.
But we've said it, versions of it so many times that it was like, that's why yesterday when I was like, I don't want to do the coaching gym as like practicing talking about that, because I feel like it's so well, those neural
Mhm.
pathways are so well worn in my head that it would be too easy for me to do it right. So I wanted to, but yeah.
I loved
So,
what you did instead, so yes.
yeah. All right. See, go ahead, Katie.
I love the idea of Jennifer coaching. She's, coming to the gym. She's been here once before, joined one of our previous sessions. So if you'd be up for it, Jennifer, we'd love to have you coach today.
Sure.
Yeah. And then as far as getting coached, Cece, do you feel like you want to be coached, or would you prefer to observe for today?
Sure, I mean, I can always be coached. I tried to think, but I want to get something that's not this huge morass for Jennifer. Something small and biteable. I had a fabulous practice session with Thomas last night. He's amazing.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we like to preface with when we have new people in the gym is that there's two things that are important to acknowledge. Number one is it's a 20-minute practice session. So whatever you come in with might not get fully handled. It might not feel like it's fully taken care of. The cool thing about the gym is sometimes it does. And 20 minutes can be a magical amount of time where a lot happens. So we always and Cece, you know this, but we always let our coaches know that if whatever you're dealing with gets opened up and it doesn't get handled, we're here to support you, to help you feel like you can put a bow on that at some point so that it's, manageable. And second of all is about how wisdom works through the coach and through the coachee. And so within the gym, our key purpose is to help build more confident coaches. And so we're giving feedback in service to that. We don't believe that there's a right or a wrong way to coach, and that there will be different things that flow through you in the coach seat and in the coachee seat that us as observers are not privy to. So there's no right or wrong way. We're not sitting here getting ready to give you feedback based on our opinions. It's more of a conversation around seeing, around noticing, and about basically being able to have an exchange. As the observer, I'm really looking out for, what do I think your coaching superpower might be? And looking for new insight around what might be able to help you become a more confident coach. So there's really no way to do it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to that, Demi?
That was perfectly said.
Okay.
Couldn't say a thing to make it better there. That's beautiful.
So what we'll do is Demi and I will co-lead the feedback. But I think it's important to have one person just like hold the responsibility of feedback. So I'm going to let Demi do that for today, because I did that yesterday in our session. And I'll just be there to fill in any little blanks. If I see something that I think wasn't covered off, I'll add it in at the end. And then once that feedback section is wrapped up, we'll go through a few other little processes, which we'll kind of leave as a surprise, but they're very beautiful.
Cece,
So
you feeling good about being coached?
Sure, it's okay.
okay.
And you said, was it 20 minutes?
Yeah.
So
I'll
I'm just literally trying to figure out which of the multiple things it could be, but so many of them lead, or they're just the tail of a huge thing. I'm trying not to do that.
I would just bring whatever you've got into the session, Cece, and it
Okay.
can be because it sounds like what you've got right now is uncertainty. So I would maybe even just invite you to bring that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Cool.
So the other thing we do is Demi and I will go off video and we'll mute so that you just see each other.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
I'll keep time.
Do you know how to do that, Jennifer? If you go up to view on at the top of the right, there's a view. If you click on that and click hide non-video participants, when we turn our cameras off, we'll disappear for you. So it'll just be you and Cece.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll be keeping time, Jennifer, and I will just send you a note at 15 minutes. I'll just say 15 minutes when 15 is up. Then I'll send you 20. And if you are in the middle of a deep inquiry with her, just gently bring it to a close as feels comfortable for you. You don't have to go, oh, time's up. Sorry, it's all over. You can take another couple minutes to wrap things.
Great.
Oh, there we go. Okay, got it. My speaker view wasn't working. Now I've got you. So great. Perfect.
Okay, well, Cece, we have 20 minutes together. What would be a great outcome for you in our conversation today?
I am having a lot of uncertainty and unclarity on, I want to get a quick video out about what I do, but more importantly, I need to prepare and get out some new summaries of what I do into various marketing channels that I'm in, that what I have out there right now isn't great. And speaking about what I do is a mixed experience for me. And I want to just make it easy and quick and simple and people to understand it. And I start going, overthinking is an understatement, Jennifer.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So you're working on something right now that will, once you send it out, it will clarify for people how to work with you, what what you do? Is that
Hopefully, it will, I mean, I have something in LinkedIn. I'm not in love with it, but it's there. I have something in Alignable that I'm really not in love with, that I want a better summary, and I definitely would like to do a better, a quick, 30-second, 1 minute video. And I alternate between, and most of my presentation materials on what I do are quite lengthy. I'm trying to really get down to, okay, what is it in a compelling, short way that people want more information? I'm not overloading them. And I'm just, I spin. I totally spin when it comes to marketing materials.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's about us, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what would be, where would, like, if, we're 20 minutes later and you're
Mhm.
looking back on this session, what would be the most helpful thing for us to get to for you,
Different question.
so you can move into it?
Just, a sense of humor and fun and uh, willingness to improv, and just like, oh, okay, I could try that. I could try that. Oh, that, being in that state at the end, rather than what I've been in for the last hour, which is like, and just like, oh, okay, and emphasizing the experimental, emphasizing the fail fabulously, emphasizing all of that instead of over thinking and not getting anything out the door.
Wow, I feel like you're kind of talking to me, Cece, but I think we're coaching each other during this session.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you already seem lighter, like you already can see it.
Well, I mean, just talking to Demi and Katie a little bit, but then talking to you just now, like when I was talking to Thomas, just putting it out there with another living being instead of in my head, absolutely helps.
Yeah.
Because it brings a sense of humor into it. I don't get the sense of humor when I'm doing it on my own.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. So tell me a little bit more about when you do have the sense of humor, like what that feels like, what it looks like, how it comes about.
It really, and I was actually thinking about this when I was playing with the video and this morning. There's I can imagine someone on the other side when I'm videoing, but not nearly as well as when I'm talking to someone. And when I'm talking to someone, it takes me out of the presentation mode. And the presentation mode is thinking all the time. Unless I'm actually in with someone, I'm actually present and now. So the sense of humor comes when I'm present and now, not when I'm presenting. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much easier.
And when you're present and now, what's bringing you into that state?
Often struggle. We're not in my best mode. I mean, it is absolute contact with another human being. And in video or Zoom works just as well. It's lots of reminders to be present and now, breathing. I mean, just all the things we're taught, and lots of flashing neon signs. No. So a lot of tools, and then just building the muscle to remember more frequently, to be there more frequently. But I really do think that the lightness is crucial for me. The bringing humor and lightness into it is so helps me be now and not in my thinking instead.
Yeah, say more about that, about the lightness.
Thomas and I were talking yesterday. I'm trying to figure out, I'm working on what's my business about, which of course is what we're about, based on rehearing it, Michael Neal podcast and all that. It's like, okay, and realize, and one of the things he mentions is fun. And so Thomas and I talked last night. I don't have I do not know. I don't have a definition of fun. that's workable. I mean, I don't have a sense, I have all these pieces. So the lightness, part of the lightness is, it's basically, it's open, it's curious, it's willing, it's playful, it's all of that. It's the fun part. I think that's what fun actually is. I should translate that more, but no,
Yeah.
it's just, it really, it's the difference about between, I've taken improv classes and I go watch a lot of improv. It's the difference between sitting there and waiting to be called on and actually being called on and you're up and you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference between when you're sitting and waiting to be called out on and when
Well,
you're
the
up
mind's
and
going
in it?
back. Well, you're thinking, and you're predicting, and it's future paced and past paced, and blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And it's loud. And then once you're in it, you do the first thing. Yes, you are. Yeah, I probably overthink a little sometimes, just occasionally. It's kind of just going with it. But once you're in it, then you are just like, oh, and you are like, okay, they say something and you build and you build and you build and you build and build. And there's not time for analysis. The analysis isn't in there. The analysis is over here. So you're right now, right present, responding. That's the difference. And how to put that into how to write marketing copy is something I haven't yet figured out. But yeah.
Well, it's an interesting thing because when you're basically what you're saying is when you're in your head, you're in your head, and that's not fun. And when you're not, it is fun.
Right.
So, does it occur to you any ways that that could show up when in a situation where you're creating content that is actually about you?
I don't know. I mean, Jennifer, I love brainstorming with people, just like we're doing right now, really. Uh, the, I, so I don't really know what it would look like yet for it to show up for me on my own. And I mean, I can hallucinate wildly, and I'm pretty good at it. So I can sort of imagine. The best way I know how to do it is what I will do is I will go for a walk and I will take my cell phone and I'll put voice memo on. I'm much better at that. I just talk out loud. And then, I mean, goodness knows what the tapes are sometimes, but that is easier. I do better at that than I do, looking at the copy I wrote before somebody wrote or whatever, and the variations and getting into tweaking and
Yeah.
so that does help me get. And I often, when I go for my walks, and I hear I occasionally laugh out loud because it's just silly. So that feels good too. So
I love that.
yeah.
It's good to know that I'm not the only one that thinks that I'm funny sometimes. Right? Isn't that a great
Right?
moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really important, I think.
So what's going on when you're in front of someone, you get engaged in a conversation, you disappear, you're focusing on them, seems easy. You're out for a walk, you're in your head, you start talking and you're present again. You're coming
Mhm.
from that same place.
Mhm.
So what do you make of that?
Well, I'm not as good as I'd like to be about being present with people and not being thinking about what they're saying and processing it and trying to please and fit the situation, all that. I'm really not as good as I would like to be by a long shot, but getting better. And this will help. You said what's getting in the way of that?
So just what you make of the fact that your experience so far is that when you're in your head, it's like, and when you're in your heart,
Mhm.
it seems to flow a little more easily.
Oh, no kidding. I don't really, it's just a fact that when I'm overthinking, it's challenging and awkward and slow and frustrating and everything else, because boy, can I overthink. And it's annoying too. And then, you know, when things are, when I am connected, when I am in my heart, when I don't have 80 agendas and I'm not, you know, all of that, life is so much better. It's not, it just is that way. And so the more I can be present, the more I can be coming from now instead of the past or the future, or this is the best way to do it, or what about this? I have got, Jennifer, I have more courses and more instructional materials, and I've taken most of them, and I haven't practiced many of them very well because I get overwhelmed, and you know, I couldn't possibly do all of them, but I don't do the practicing. I don't do the real living with them. I just do a lot of studying and a lot of knowledge and a lot of information gathering. And then I don't step out the door because I'm still spinning around with the information, trying to get it better and better and better and better. It's crazy. So I'm bit by bit attempting to get, or be getting better at the heck with that, the heck with the 18,000 million things, just start doing.
Do you figure it's just you?
I think there are some other people like that.
And what's the difference?
I just may be an excessive example.
Yeah, I think it's more common than you realize. And it just occurs to me that like you can see it really clearly that when you're serious about it, it's hard. When you're not, it's so much easier. But the thing that seems to be getting in your way, because you're evaluating and judging in each moment. So I wonder, is it possible that the fact that you think it's serious that you do this and that you give yourself heck for it,
The fact that I think it's serious, what?
that your seriousness is serious and needs to seriously get addressed?
So you're saying, so do I think I must be serious? Is that the question?
No, that you must not be.
Yeah, I must not be. And then I haven't been, I haven't been giving myself grief for being serious, which I'm now beginning to give myself grief for in the past, because I thought it was obligatory.
Mm-hmm.
You must be. This is not, you know. I mean, there's a long time before I was willing to put the word fun in what I talked about, what I could provide. Because this is serious. That's fun. I had a dichotomy running. Now I seriously need to stop being serious. That's gonna look like. But my conditioning is serious. It's serious. It's serious. You must be serious about it because it's serious, because it's important, because it's blah 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 blah. So it's yeah, it's gonna be fun and interesting.
Is there a world in which you could just appreciate that part of your conditioning as something that served you for a period of time in the best way it could?
Oh yeah,
Like, do you have to fix yourself from that?
no, I don't. I mean, and I believe me, I don't know if you've done NLP or anything else, but they have a great walking belief change exercise that I've done myself. I've done with multiple people, and part of it is there's a museum for your old beliefs, and you go through it and you put that belief that has served you, that has had a positive intention to you, blah blah blah, and you put it in the museum in whatever way, shape, or form you want to put it in the museum. It's being honored, and you walk out of the museum and you leave it behind as much as possible. I have a very large museum that I've left behind, and then I just keep discovering another one. And yes, it absolutely has a positive intention. It's not wrong. My brain and what I could see at the time, it served me. And I do believe that. I believe we all see the world as we see it, when we see it, how our brains operate, everything else in the circumstances at the time. We do the best we can. So the best I could was be serious.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a lot of societal confirmation of that, which doesn't help matters.
Right.
So that's why I'm so glad for, well, another reason I'm so glad for this group is the support of what is really true and what really works instead of what society has said all these years. Thank God. So
But it sounds to me that you do understand where your sort of wisdom, brilliance, easy way forward, you know how to access that. Like you've got the key.
mhm.
So what gets you in the way of using that key?
um, not trusting myself.
Okay, say more about that.
I think that what I historically, and it's shifting, thank goodness, thanks to Demi, uh, that I have on one level, I know I have a lot of things. And I know a lot. I know I can do this and this and this. And at another level, I think I have to polish it 18 times before I can offer it and step out with it. So I think like, yes, do I know I do better when I'm lighthearted? Do I know I do better this? Do I know I do better? Do I know I overstew? Do I know that spending 3 hours writing one email is absolutely asinine? And I've done it recently. All that, I have a lot of knowledge that I'm not acting on as much as I intend to keep start acting on it and be acting on it, because at some level I haven't been trusting that was true, that I really do know enough, that I really do know what I'm doing, that I really am competent when I'm out there. All of that, because I mean, yes, I know it intellectually, but there's this little piece still left that doesn't quite, it's almost gone. It has difficulty trusting. And I think that's what's gotten in my way. I know in the past it's gotten in my way, whether or not it's still getting in my way, I don't know.
When you just spoke those two sentences, you spoke about them very conceptually.
Mhm.
Like there's a you that doesn't take things seriously and that can
Yeah, fun one. Yep.
and then there's this person who's also looking on who can have fun and make it easy, but it feels like until you've completely eliminated the person who takes things seriously, which means that you'd never ever question, right? If you eliminate it, then you wouldn't have questions about, am I good enough, and do I have enough?
Mhm.
But we're always going to get those, right?
Right.
So the confidence is built in, but the insecurity, it floats in and floats out, and like it's always there, right? Like it's
Right.
not something we can program, like block the insecurity.
No, we can't.
So is there a possibility that you can start to see those moments of feeling the insecurity as not you, but just energy that's moving?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I know they're all thoughts. They've been around 3P long enough for that. And it is just a thought, and it's not a particularly helpful thought. I like the way you put it, but I just see it as not me. It's just energy moving. Um, the way you said that was very useful. Thank you.
Unless you see it that it's you. Do you see that those insecure thoughts are you?
In the past, I think I have.
And what about now?
Not so much. I don't know if I'm 100%, but I'm a hell of a lot closer not to seeing them. I mean, I probably like 99% of not thinking that they're me. I don't know if I'm 100% of not thinking that they're me. It's like, yeah, I mean, just like, oh, I've done a lot of, God knows I've taken enough workshops. But there's like, oh, there's that voice, or there's that part, or there's that, persona, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't work. So, I mean, I'm not into that these days, but yeah, it's just the insecurity, it's just an insecure thought. So what?
Yeah, and I think it's the temporary nature of that experience.
Mhm.
Because I think if you're aiming to always believe that that's not you, then you'd have to stop being human, right? Like
Yeah,
I
I'd
I
rather
am
not.
I have lots of moments where I
Mhm.
absolutely believe the insecure thinking is true and real. But
Yeah.
I've started to notice that that's only happening when my state of mind drops.
Yes. Yes. Thanks, Mavis. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was saying earlier, I don't believe I could like not have insecure thoughts.
No.
Being to your point, just noticing that's where I'm at the moment. Like, okay, I'm having one of those. Or I was just having one of those for 3 hours. Thank you so much. And now I think we'll go take a walk. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Just being it's just a thought.
Yeah.
And it's except, and we all have, and I don't expect not to have them. I just don't want to believe them.
Yeah. And
I think that's the issue part, maybe. I don't know.
so there are times when you don't believe them.
Right.
So that's the piece maybe to focus on. Like you had this great conversation last night, you said, with somebody named Thomas, and
Yeah.
it lit you up and you felt like you could see really clearly, right?
Mhm.
Like that's not fabricated. That's just when you're in that more elevated space, that
Right.
occurs to you more naturally.
Yeah, it does. And I don't let the insecurity clouds get in my way
Yeah.
or obscure my vision.
Yeah. And I think I didn't even get to see because I was focused, but I'm pretty sure that we're out of time. But
Oh,
I, just personally, honestly, Cece, like we just should chat.
oh, let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. That'd be really
Because
fun.
you are so not alone. I mean, I think this is that whole sense of, churning and going, I'm trying so hard, and then going, oh yeah, that's not the way.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. Yeah, we'll definitely exchange information and get together. I'd love that, Jennifer. Thank you.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Cece.
you.
That
For
was
beautiful.
amazing.
I feel so much better. I just like I have a new way I have a new way when these things come up to recognize and see them and dismiss them more quickly. So appreciate it. I see Demi's back.
The fireplace is on underneath me, and I'm roasting. I'm just gonna tell you.
You're good.
Well, oh, you're in
Oh,
Toronto.
you're
Of course,
coaching.
it'd be cold. Yeah,
Oh,
we're back. We're back in warmth
thank
again.
you. Thank you. That was really fun to watch. It was
Wasn't
really
that great? She's amazing. Oh, it's just beautiful.
so Jennifer, we like to start with you just to hear, kind of pulling behind the curtain. What was that like for you? What did you notice? What were you present to?
I think the thing that I was most present to is how much that I could really relate and like as a human um but how clearly I could see her wisdom and that she got this. I mean, you could see it so clearly, like when she was up and when she was like pulling, and the energy like was really obvious. I think for me, that's the hardest thing that I've found is that because I've been coaching quite a bit over the last year, um, I, I can see so clearly that it's a story that for me the hardest thing is to not get impatient and not go, you're fine, right? Like I can see that you're fine and you've got it. And so it's for me, it's discovering ways to help generate their seeing because I can see it so clearly, and so then it just seems obvious to me, and I can get kind of impatient and go, no, you're perfect, you're fine, like let's move on. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that you can notice that. And
Yeah.
were you aware of that during the session? The impatience?
Yeah,
Impatience?
in and out I was, because I was like super wanting to hear, but I could see it so clearly. And I could connect with it so much. So I find that I'm it's always trickier for me when I can immediately relate.
Mm.
Yeah.
And maybe even too, you can relate, and you've also experienced maybe some breakthrough around it or some clarity, so you know you can help.
Yeah.
I can imagine how that would kind of create some impatience, like, oh my gosh, like, I know how to help you. Let's get this handled, you know? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
how
Like I
was the
really want
20?
you to see how awesome you are, right? Like that
Right.
feels like
Yeah.
let's get that done.
Yeah. How
Mhm.
did the 20-minute framework affect the impatience thing? Did it have any impact on it?
No, no. I think I've actually lost track of the time completely, and I was aware that there were messages, but I didn't read them.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't I think that any impatience that I was experiencing was about me, not about the time.
Yeah, that's cool to see. Well, if you had to score your impatience, I kind of like doing this for myself just to kind of, I don't know, just the more aware I can be of it is just helpful, especially no judgment, just like, so if you had to score like your impatience barometer from 1 to 10, 10 being I'm so impatient, one being nothing, barely there, what number would you give it?
Um, no. I was like probably a for me, I was probably a 5. Yeah. That sounds maybe like a cop-out answer, but I didn't feel like overly impatient, and I didn't
Yeah.
feel not impatient. For
Yeah.
me, that doesn't mean for someone else that they would have experienced it that way. Um, but I did feel a few times that I would like to just tell her she's perfect. So we'd be done with it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I just think that's interesting to notice, okay, this felt a little bit of like a 5.
Mhm.
Now you know what a 5 feels like.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so very cool. Anything else you want to share before we'll go to CC?
Um, no, I think that was the main thing for me. Um, like the extent to which I am invested in a different outcome. I think that is also just another way of explaining or speaking about impatience.
Hmm. I like it though. I like that. I like your
Yeah,
words.
I do too. I like that.
Cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. Well, we'll come back to you too, because
Yeah,
we'll hear from CC, and then, I'll share a few things um and see what Katie noticed. And then we'll come back to you, Jennifer, just to see what's maybe emerging for you after you hear some of the things that the
sure.
other. So, all right, CC, what I'd love to hear. And what's cool too is, CC's been in these practices for a bit, so I'm sure
Mhm.
she'll be really help you, have some insight here around that could be helpful. So what was your experience, Cece?
I very, very grateful for it. It was great. Jennifer did a brilliant job of helping me see what I was up to so that I could hear myself.
How did she do that in your experience? Like, so one of the things is we're always like, what was
Yeah.
where was impact
By
most?
asking questions. So you said you do this, sort of, and you shouldn't say quite how you do it, but almost. So that I actually had to think about how I did that, and how I made that happen, how I made it up, and what did work for me, like the walking, and what, what were the, really getting, not just taking my statements at face value, but saying, okay, what are you doing to cause that? What's going on for you, so that I could actually say it. And she got that information, but I also got that information for reflection. Like, oh, well, if I did it that way, that would be different. If I did it that way, that would be different. And then she'd say, well, does this mean that you are thinking you'll never be anxious again? Well, no. But we got to explore that. So it was the questioning of my statements in a very totally friendly way, but just, tell me more, tell me more. Oh, okay, does this mean this? Well, maybe it doesn't mean that, or maybe I don't mean it. So that, all of that allowed me to really see where I was at and hear myself. And I'll listen to the tape, of course, too. Go, oh my God. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It was, we've used the reference before, like spaghetti noodles. Like there was a bunch of
Mhm,
spaghetti
mhm.
noodles that were just, and it felt like Jennifer was getting to understand you through the spaghetti noodles. And I wrote down here too, it's like that I really liked, it seemed to just be really helpful. There was a lot of times that she asked, well, what's the difference between this and this? And I
Yes,
thought that was a perfect question for your spaghetti noodles, because I don't know if you were aware of this, probably when we're looking at our spaghetti noodles, it's just like, but there was a lot of black and white thinking.
yes.
And so I thought that was a really great question for you, Jennifer, to, you know, I don't have a framework for fun, yet she just talks about she's doing these improvs. So it's like, you never had fun? Well, what's the difference between, like, I just thought for that kind of just the, your first time coaching CC even, she's like, I've got all these things, I'm not sure. So I just think it was the beginning of it was a really, and even maybe your impatienceness helped because you were just really like, is it this? Is it this? It's like you're kind of getting a sense of what's going on in CC's world when there's a lot of things and you only had 20 minutes.
Mhm.
So I like that question a lot too, is that it seemed to me, we'll have to hear what Jennifer says, but it seemed to me that that was a really good way for her to quickly try to figure out what's going on in your world. Okay, you're saying it's this, but it's not this. What's the
Yeah,
difference?
yeah.
And it seemed to be impactful for you.
Yes, yes, that particular question, the other questions she asked really did help me see
Do you
and
remember what
speak to.
question, or what moment that was, or what emerged?
Well, particularly the questions about when do I have lightness?
Oh yeah.
That sort of series really helped.
Yeah.
Those were good, and certainly the questions, do I, am I trying, and the seriousness and the anxiety, and sort of trying to extract those two helped also about that.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's very rich, Jennifer.
What would you say in your words were like, I mean, it's 20 minutes, results are really hard to, like, but one of the things we really try to study here in the gym, we talk a lot about is, as coaches, we can have a sense of results. We understand, you being a coach, CC, you can kind of understand the ongoing effect of a conversation like this.
Mm-hmm.
Practice in here speaking in the language of results, because when we are trying to contract with, especially non-coaches, you don't understand this framework. We
Mm-hmm.
want to learn to speak in the language of results. So we study that in here. We look at that. What if you could put a few words to the results that you experienced from Jennifer's coaching? What would that be?
The results I experienced were that I had several new perspectives. I had illumination about how I believe seriousness was necessary, and how, of course, that immediately kills the fun. So I hadn't thought about it that way. That was very useful. How I may have been beating up on myself for getting anxious. Because I was believing I shouldn't be, which is, I know better. And how I just, that I can either be having a light life or I can be having a serious life where I'm overthinking all the time. And, which do I really choose to do? And can I, and the whole bit again, back to why am I not stepping into the light life? And what the hell is it about myself I don't trust? In that. And
So
why
it
not?
sounds like,
Go
oh,
for it?
sorry, keep going.
Yes, and just why not just go for it? Yeah.
So it sounds like if I can reflect in the words I would use for what I heard you say the results, which is it's not that it's more right, it's just we're looking at languaging results.
Mhm.
Um, it sounds like she invited you into a spaciousness of more curiosity instead of this fixed way of seeing yourself.
I wouldn't put it quite that way. I would say more that she opened new doors,
Mm.
new ways of looking at things. It's more proactive than inviting me into a space of curiosity.
Mm.
She actually said, well, okay, so I see you doing that. Well, what about this? Oh, I see you doing that. What about this? Well, what happened here? It was
And
more that sense.
since you're a coach, you might be able to put words to this in a way that a non-coach might not see, but what do you suspect the impact? And that's not a fair statement. I'm taking that back. But
Okay, whatever.
I was like, as I said that, I'm like, that's not true. What do you suspect the impact of having new doors open to you might be?
Oh, it changes everything. Because all of a sudden the world's big and expansive and potential and possibilities and opportunities that when you're operating in a limited space absolutely aren't there.
Sorry, my husband's leaving out of town. I'm just going to blow him a kiss. um,
So to me, it's huge. I mean, it's just, and anytime you change perspective, there's innovation. I mean, there's all sorts of insights, there's everything. But for me, it's always because I so love being outdoors and I feel like opening and vistas and you have your peripheral vision. I can go on for hours. But that's what happens when you open doors.
yeah, it's like this, it's like working in flow states of consciousness where you just can do one thing after the next and you're kind of enjoying it, even like gardening and weeding. When you're just
Mm-hmm.
to it, you're doing hard work, but it's enjoyable versus when we're in our head, that's the experience of stuck and second guessing ourselves. It's like really like you can still move forward and get things done. But like you said, Cece, an email might take you 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Flow, it can take you 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Depending on how long it is, I guess. So, I mean, that's a cool result, a tangible result to really, notice.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Jennifer, are you open to receiving some feedback from me and Katie?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
It'd
And
be kind of weird if I said no.
yeah, we just,
Would
one of the
be.
things we really also always want to honor and we recognize in the coaching gym is that sometimes our capacity for feedback varies day to day. It varies in our experiential level. So I just kind of want to check in with where you're at and how you feel in your capacity for feedback right now.
Oh, I'm all in. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got my own feedback to give right now. So
Well, why don't you share that and then I'll.
no, I mean I think I think it is this balance that I need. I'm looking for a balance between patience and precision, because the people that I work with are all executives. And so I spend a good deal of time trying to get us connected, because they come in, like this, and then they don't give me a lot of time, right? So I don't have a lot of time to be like, let's take 5 sessions to get somewhere, which just, I think, reinforces my preference of impatience, of getting to things. Um, and the assumptions, like that, what I was trying to let go were assumptions. So because I could relate so much to what CZ was saying, the reason she was feeling that way was really obvious to me, but it didn't mean it was true.
Mm.
Right. And so that's the hard part for me, is to not go down that because it looks and feels true to me. And I haven't tested that with her, and to not do it in a way that is leading the witness. You know what I mean? So like asking questions to move, to show that my assumptions are right, versus just asking questions to see what she comes up with. So that was definitely in the space that I've had just to listen. That's what's really coming up for me. And what I want to get better at is shining the light on stuff, right? Without an agenda of what that light will reveal.
Mm.
So, yeah.
That was great feedback, sister. You're great at this. No, and I mean, I just think, as cliched as this sounds, especially for us coaches, I have to say it because it is so true. The fact that you can see what you're seeing means you're not like you have already, your consciousness has already had to expand and up level to even be able to notice that. So yeah. So well, I'll share just like, I mean, I thought it was a great session. It was a really great session. And it was obvious to me in that session that you've seen some stuff for yourself, that your grounding is such that you have a lot to offer in being with people. That was obvious. And I think that came through in the results that CC experienced and the impact that you created for her. And, it's like what Michael Neal says, or one of his, I love that he says, is like, our impact as a coach has a lot less to do with our coaching skills and a lot more to do with the way we see the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was noticeable that you've seen some things that bring a high level of impact. And even the feedback that you just gave yourself, to me, is more evidence of that. It's evidence that the snowball is rolling downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I used to want to punch Michael in the face when he said that to me, because it's not rolling. It's not rolling fast enough. But it's like, I can so see it in you. And, some of the superpowers, I think your superpowers, like, it was so obvious to me how much you care. Like, your caring was ever present. But yet it wasn't like, sometimes when I've seen coaches with less grounding, the way they care is like, yes, you got it, you got it. They're trying to get more excited for them. Their energy level isn't matching, or it's more extreme. Even it's like, oh, that's so sad. It's like you had a nice neutrality with your caring that I thought was really nice. And you have a capacity. This is where I could really tell that you've seen some things for yourself, is you didn't get hooked by CC's stories. You didn't go down every rabbit hole that you could have. Like, it just really felt like you were being with this tangled spaghetti in the beginning of like CC's uncertainty and confusion. And you also weren't overwhelmed by it. You were just being with it and helping her sort it out in a way that helped you see where to go. And I just really loved that. I thought that was really great. And I think, to your point about the patients and especially working with executives, like I got really curious when you said they won't give me time. I don't have a lot of time with them to do that. I got really curious for you around that.
Mhm.
And I just got curious about how this time thing might be coming up with this patience thing,
Mhm.
and like I just had there's a couple of like things that these just experiments coming up that you may want to play with that were in my mind. Like to experiment again, you can come into the gym. We offer a free week trial too. So this is a great place to play with this. But I would love for you, or any place that you feel that you can practice coaching somebody where you pull the curtain behind your scenes in the process. Like almost so that and this is upfront, you're knowing it. So if it's like CC, it's like, hey, I'm gonna reveal what's
Mhm.
going on a little bit in the process. And let
Mhm.
me pause for just a second. I'm noticing, CC, I just want to shake you and say, can't you see how awesome you are? Okay, now that I got that out, let's go back. You know what I mean? I'm kind of curious about if you did that, what that would be like for you, because I'm wondering if these things come, and they're beautiful, by the way, they're so heartfelt, they're so part of your caring, they are so a capacity of your generosity, and I think an aspect of your superpowers to not diminish.
Mhm.
The fact that you want to get them there quicker is just because it's like you care and you want them to, you can see it for them. And you're noticing that I do think the other experiment would be, I have a couple of like ideas, but it's something in crafting an experiment for you that helps you know beyond a conceptual understanding how a little bit goes a long way.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean? So something to just kind of play with that in real time.
So funny.
Because it's like, because you can't, because of your big heart, you're not going to do it unless you know it works. There's no way.
Mhm.
I mean, I know that too, because I remember I used to do that a lot. I was way more impatient than you. It's like one of my supervision sessions with Michael Nill, I coached a friend, and his feedback to me is, if I would have done that session, I would have been apologizing profusely at the end of it. So I was like, you got to open up your mouth. Let me shut this down, but I have seen over and over what more in it, and you're already onto it. You're seeing Cece's wisdom.
Mm.
And you have the type of presence and grounding that can really hold space for another person to help them see it.
Yeah.
And that takes very little when you have grounding and presence like you do. And I'd love for you to just play with that and see, like, because you'll be like, holy shit. Oh my God. Like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And there was already much of that, by the way, in the session. There was beautiful, like you did. And to your point about wanting to play with the patients, I think you're going to have more versatility with that the more you see that like doing nothing also has an impact. Like that kind of, just so you have that versatility in your repertoire of superpowers.
So funny. That's really, you've hit the nail on the head for sure. It is the fact that I can see so clearly that now, and my whole career has been that I see potential way more than anybody else does about themselves. And I actually had to teach myself to be less invested than them. Because I would be like, you could be doing, like, this was well before the principles. So now that I can see it so clearly, like, it's so obvious to me, I don't get fooled as much by other people's stories. But I mean, I do create my own. Like, I think you pulled that out, that tension between patience and precision is made by me. Right? So I love that. Which I so true. And the little goes a long way. Yeah. Big time. Yeah.
You got this, girl. You're like, your snowball is, it's building so much, it's building momentum, and really it's, and that's, yeah. Well, I'm just realizing how quickly the time is going. I want to turn some time over to Katie because she has such a lovely way of sharing feedback too. So I want to do that, and then we'll see what we have time for next.
Yeah, it's always so fun going after Demi or after someone else because I'm like, all of that plus.
I know, it's just fun. I love hearing the plus part.
What I got really curious about for you, Jennifer, is you talk about impatience, and when you pointed it out, I thought to myself, okay, I could see that a little bit, but it didn't feel like urgency. It didn't feel like impatience in service to something harmful or something derogatory or something negative. It's like I got really curious about like what might the kindness of impatience be for you, or what's the love that's trying to come into your coaching through impatience so that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm.
And lately I've just been throwing the word sacred in front of things that I don't like. Like we were having a good conversation about distracting yourself, and I'm like, well, what if it's a sacred distraction? Because we just think it's a problem and then we try to fix it. But what if we just use a sacred distraction to get ourselves away from thinking about a problem that we made up with our thinking? And so I just want to offer a little bit of space around like, what could sacred impatience look like? Like, what is impatience trying to grow you through or into? Because I have a suspicion that impatience is somehow really beautifully linked to whatever your superpower is.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think some of it is that I'm really aware of is that, and you mentioned grounding. I feel really grounded in what I've learned about how the world works and how we operate, and even like this, I'll stay clean on that. And we talk about stick with what you know, and I feel like I need to flip that because it's so clear to me now that I'm in my head about it, I think. And I feel like there's not, I can see it so clearly. So I'm thinking, and I want to try to let it go so that I can hear more deeply the wisdom. So I feel like I almost can see it too clearly now. And that's what makes me impatient.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like how to see it and then go, okay, relax and let wisdom come through about where to go with it next. Now that you see it, where to, like how to bring, because rather than say, okay, so you need to actually be okay with the fact you're human, like, going into the mind part of it and just allowing to be guided about what Cece needs is in that moment, like what was going to be the most impactful for her.
What's neat is I'm kind of hearing exactly what Cece was saying and what you're saying right now, and I'm feeling the same way you must have felt for Cece, like, oh, that's cute that she thinks she has a problem with that, but she's totally got it handled.
Yeah,
exactly. and when Cece was talking about seriousness, it was like, it sounded like she was being too serious about fun. It was like, oh, well, she was worried about being serious, and then she got really serious about needing to be fun. And I think you're just getting really serious about needing to be patient
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like, but it's almost kind of cute because it's like, oh, she's so got it handled, but she just kind of forgot that she's already got it handled. Like it's taken care of. It's kind of like when you have something going on in your life and it's like a scary situation and then it's handled, but you like the next day you can go back and think about it and feel scared again. And you have to remind yourself, like, no, I've already got that handled. Like I don't have to scare myself about it anymore. So I mean, to me, it just feels like it's right there for you. And I think the only thing that's and time is gonna reveal that to you very quickly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
I love that addition. I told you she always adds something perfect to the mix, but no, because I think it's we can notice something about impatience, and I'm at a 5, and I love that too because I did not write impatience down in my feedback thing. It wasn't like something that was glaring, or it's like when you said it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see how slowing down might be interesting for you to just see a little bit more about what that can do. But I love what Katie added, because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, you're such a powerhouse of somebody. I love what you said too, is like, I can just see the possibility for so many people. And I think that is a part of your essence and your presence of being a strong stand for people's possibility. And that was sort of one of the things that was really beautiful that came out in the coach that was coaching a non-coach in our gym yesterday. I loved it. Katie was the one that brought this up, but she was like, it's almost like she was fighting for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you have that same, the peaceful warrior capacity within you that is like, that's kind of, I think what Katie's pointing to is that's the sacred impatience. The warrior has that sacred impatience, and, not to throw that baby out with bathwater, because I think but I think what you're seeing here and just being with it in the most gracious way, like knowing there's no right or wrong, but there's always more we can see about it. I think I think your superpower is going to get honed, just by, but it's like, I love Katie's addition. Don't throw that superpower baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
and I also kind of suspect too that if you love working with executives and you know that they just don't have a lot of time, that somehow your impatience is going to, if you keep getting curious about it and you don't throw it out with the bathwater, that it's going to be something that you can cultivate into be getting results quicker, because it's like you're trimming off the fat. And it's like anything, I think it's the things that show up at first might look a little bit daunting, or we might categorize as something that's unwanted or undesired, but there's a little something behind it. And I feel like if it was cultivated towards mastery, it could become a really effective come from for you in cutting through the story, cutting through the muck, cutting through anything extra, and just getting to the heart of what matters quickly with these people who really value their time.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
in the
think there's
last,
any accidents.
I'm going to jump in because we've got 2 minutes left, and I want to,
Yeah.
one of the things we always do at the end is invite everybody to share what you're taking away from this session for yourself. Like, it could be something that, oh, I want to, yesterday the coach who coached talked about how she prepared for the session ahead of time, and I could feel it. So that was something I took away. I'm going to play with that. So it could be something you're taking away from your life, or something that you're going to bring into your coaching or your business, but what's here for you? And just we'll let whoever share. When you have something to share, just open up.
Yeah, I think I've talked about kind of what really came up for me. The little goes a long way is so bang on. And I think just acknowledging once I've seen when I feel like I've seen what I needed to see, that I can let it go and just kind of let wisdom kind of come in, and versus go, okay, I've got to hold on to this and make sure she sees this. I can just let it go. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, Cece, I think you made it.
So in addition to deep gratitude to all of you, particularly Jennifer, for the experience, I'm going to listen to this many, many times because there's so many jewels in it, so much wisdom. To take away and just a lot more, I'm going to take away a lot more curiosity. Why do I think I need to get into that state? And what are some tools and ways to get myself out of it quickly, notice more quickly and get out of it more quickly? And I heard a lot of them today, and I loved the getting, going right to the heart of what matters instead of all the stories. It's not necessary to go down all those side tracks, for myself or for others.
Mhm.
So that was like, okay. Because I'm a really good story chaser and repeater. I don't need to do that. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah, all of it was just fantastic. What a gift. Just exactly. And it's always perfect timing.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was actually around, it's something I didn't even mention, but around powerfully setting a frame. Jennifer did a really good job of that at the beginning of just really getting Cece to nail down something that she wanted to get handled in this time frame. And
Mhm.
I tend to book 90 minutes with people, and a lot of it we're just kind of fluffing around. And it's just kind of inspired me a little bit to be a little bit more intentional, and maybe actually I could serve to be a little bit more impatient.
Me too for mine, yeah.
So I'm going to take that away. Yeah.
What's rising up for me is just really interesting because it's just surfacing towards the end, but I see the clues of it now as I look back and reflect on the whole thing. And what it is how frequently relatability to clients, especially the deeper our grounding, the more experience we have, how impactful that can be. Early on in coaching, that was harder for me because I would relate and get lost and tangled in their stories. My grounding made a difference, right? But what something last where you were talking about the executives you work with also being impatient in time. Like I suspect even more going into that, Jennifer. I know you're going to see more about that. And it's going to serve those executives so powerfully. And there's something about how frequently this seems to happen. Melissa Ford helped me see this because it was like, oh my gosh, um, I keep working with my past selves, and and I'm her past self. And it's like, oh, there's this really cool thing that naturally happens where people, so similar to us. And especially like Jennifer I really like too. I didn't even mention this point, but this is a really cool thing to notice is that you could relate to Cece and you could even share it, but you weren't hooked by it. So there's something really cool about how relating the more our grounding deepens as a coach, the more we see the world closer to how it truly is. Relatability to people's issues can be so impactful and so powerful. And also like back, it's like that's full circle in service to us because it's like it invites me to go into it more when I see it in clients and it relates. And, sometimes even just being present for them and letting wisdom come through, it's like the words that come out of my mouth, I'm like, I need that. I'm secretly writing it down. I'm like, I gotta sit with that now. But it's like as it does, it's like I see more, which helps. I don't know. I just am seeing this coolest thing
Obviously.
that happens and how the people we serve. And it's just, anyway, I don't know. It's just emerging. So it's a little bit prematurely articulating it here, but it's cool. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. Jennifer, thanks for jumping in and being coach. Cece, thanks for being coached. And
My goodness.
we have another free one on the 21st. Is that it, Katie?
Yeah, on Wednesday the 21st at I think it's 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 1:30 Pacific, so it'd be 4:30 Eastern.
Yeah. And Jennifer, we have a free
Yeah.
week, free week trial if you want to come and play in the gym for a week for free, just to check out more of the different kinds of deliberate practices. In the gym, they're just 60 minutes because we don't need to explain things as much. And we've got games and explorations. And right now in the month of February, we're waiving the activation enrollment fee. You still get, you'll get an onboarding call with me or Katie to help you figure out your goals for the gym and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And would I just go, Katie, is it the gym part of WhatsApp?
Yeah, so you're in the WhatsApp group, right, Jennifer?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And what's your last name? Just because I want to make sure I can find you in there.
It's LAIDLAW.
I thought so. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll find you and I'll send you
I
a
will also
message.
connect, Jennifer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll send
that
you
would
a
be great,
message.
Cece.
But yeah, we can hook you up. So with the right now, if you went to the gym, the 250, the onboarding fee is already kind of waived for the month of February, but we could put you into the gym for a week so you could just try it out. Once you've done your week, it's a 30, it's $111 a month, but we do a 30-day full money back guarantee. So if it's just not quite the right fit for you, or you didn't feel that you got full value, no questions asked. You just let us know before the end of that month and we'll give you a full refund. And then after that, you could leave the gym anytime you want. There's no like, there's no like tricky packages like real gyms, which we love. And yeah, so what we can do is I can set you up with that if that's something you want to give a try to.
Yeah.
I'll just reach out to you through WhatsApp and we'll get you set up.
Super. Well,
Yeah.
thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Take
for being
care.
It was such a
Have
pleasure.
a wonderful weekend.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you too. Take
That
care.
will be much, much more fun with all these new vistas. So thank you.
Amazing.